We're practicing safe sex. We've got Dr. Pari in the studio to help us discuss sex, STDs, and whether you should freeze your eggs or not. And we're going to play our game Sex Specs and sip on our nightcap, rip your layers off. Tonight on It's Complicated.
You're listening to It's Complicated with your hosts Jennifer Golden and Lauren Leonelli, coming to you live from the AfterBuzz TV studios in Los Angeles, California.
Hey everyone, welcome back for another episode of It's Complicated.
The struggle is real when you're dating in the city.
I'm Jen.
And I'm Lauren, and we are excited because we're going to talk about sex, baby. That was happening. You knew it was coming. We are discussing safe sex with Dr. Pari, and Dr. Pari is a board-certified and active fellow of the American College of Obstetrics. I can never.
We'll ask
Do you
her.
know? Hold on. I have the hardest time pronouncing. I always say like obstetrician. I have to like say it's different or whatever. But
Why
I
don't you
always
just
have
say
to
OBGYN?
I know
Why you
because
got
sometimes
fancy with
people.
it?
I know, and then I always feel like I have to stop myself with one of those words. But she's a gynecologist. Okay,
Sweet.
and she has a long list of like amazing degrees. She has a BA in psychology. She went to Southern Methodist University. She also went to Baylor, where she graduated with she attended the School of Medicine there, and now she did her residency at George Washington University in Washington D.C. So she's clearly capable of taking care of your vaginal issues.
And your emotional state with
and
that
your emotional
psychology
state,
degree.
because I think they go hand in hand.
They sure do. I'm sure that's probably why she paired all of those things together.
I would think so.
And guys, she's been seen on a bunch of different networks and shows and also a bunch of different publications because she contributes to them. You know, just some are Fox News, CW, ABC News, affiliates, iHeartRadio, HuffPost, Yahoo Health, Women's Health Magazine, Elite Daily. I'm just going to keep going.
It's all of them.
It's all of them, guys. She is all over the place, writing great articles, educating you on all of the things that we can all relate to.
1,000,000%. We were going to ask her like all the questions. And Dr. Pari currently practices in LA, and this is where it gets even better because she serves the undoctored and underserved patients in the San Fernando Valley at the Northridge Hospital. Like, just keep being a do-gooder.
Basically,
Is that
a
a
saint.
thing? Like, I mean, gosh, it's
Dr.
just like,
Do-Gooder should be
I
her
don't know
name.
how she's not my gynecologist, but I think I might change after this. And she is a single girl living a beautiful and plentiful life in LA, and we are very excited.
Well, guys, she loves to write and speak about women's health and issues in a relatable way and brings a unique touch when educating, often sharing her own experiences as a woman, which we get to hear about right now. Welcome to the show, Dr. Pari.
Hi.
Welcome. Thank you so
Hi.
much for coming. Don't be
Thank
we got your red wine for you, so don't
Thank you
be
very much.
stressed.
I
Yes.
feel like I'm like blushing after that intro. I'm
Oh,
like, wow, I've like done a lot of things.
I mean,
Yeah.
people
Thank
say
you.
that, but
Sweet.
we're just listing facts.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you're just
Yeah.
awesome.
It's probably funny to sit here and hear it, though, in your face.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
different. But thank
Modest.
you. I'm happy
thank,
to be here.
Thank you for coming. We're
Yeah.
so excited. We are like seriously going to ask you all the hard hitting questions that I'm sure you've probably been asked a million times. But I feel like there's so many questions when it comes to sex, like just dumb questions that like you live this life thinking it's one thing, and then all of a sudden, whoops, I'm pregnant. I didn't know that I couldn't get pregnant when I was breastfeeding or whatever. Like the myths. You know what I'm saying?
All
There's
the
so
things.
many myths.
Totally.
And also, I feel like we resort to Googling because we're too afraid to ask people because we don't want to act like we don't know the thing. And we might be like, oh, this is embarrassing.
Or you
like,
heard
what is
something,
this
or you heard something when you were
bump? I don't know.
12. Somebody told you something and it just stuck. So you're like, isn't that how it works? And
Or
it's not.
religious beliefs
Who
tell
knows?
you something else.
But anyway, now that we have you here, we need to talk. Isn't that relaxing? Don't you love
Yeah.
when someone does that to you?
No, I love it. I mean, this is exactly why I like to do these things because I know people are out there Googling and
Yeah.
asking the wrong person or listening to their friend stories. And it's just always good to get like the right information.
1,000,000%. And we actually have this little thing where our listeners write questions into us every week and we answer them, but we obviously need the help of experts that we have. And you happen to be very fitting for this one. So we have, this is Michelle from Cincinnati, and she needs you to help her and us to help her. And we're going to combine forces. And she asks, she just found out she has HPV, which I now know that like every single person has or has had. And so she says, the exam I had a year ago was totally normal. And then a year later, they found HPV. And she has been dating this guy for almost a year, but had a semi-serious boyfriend like within that year as well. So she's not sure where it came from, but how do you suggest that she tells her current partner?
This is such a good question.
Yeah.
First of all, it's important to know that you don't really know when she got it.
And it could be from like years before.
It could have been from years before. I mean, we know on average it takes about 18 months for it to usually show up once you've been infected with it. With that said, it could take it. That's not for everybody. It could take 3 months or it could take 5 years. You just really don't know. And so it's kind of hard to, you know, decide like, oh gosh, what a lot of people do is they freak out like, oh my gosh, did the guy that I'm with, did he cheat on me? Well, you don't know. I mean, who knows when you got it,
It
right?
could be like a Tristan and Chloe thing.
Oh my
that's
God,
going
I'm so
on.
depressed.
How
about
sad is
I'm
that?
so
Sorry,
sad.
I've just been waiting to
Guys,
bring it up, and that was the
wait.
moment.
I'm so sad
You guys,
about it.
I am like, I feel horrible for her because, and Michelle, we will get back to your question.
Sorry,
but
Michelle, we have to talk about
hold
Chloe.
on though. She's fully about to deliver, and it's like, I need to get out of where is she, Cleveland, and her doctor's like, you can't fly.
That's what I read as well. I don't know how far she is, but I like personally, I don't recommend people flying past 32 weeks.
But what
It's
if she has
very
a private jet?
common. I don't really know. I mean,
No.
it's not the safety of the plane. It's the issue of once you go into the air, the pressure changes and stuff could
Right.
cause you to go into preterm labor.
And then you're
or
stuck in
break
the
your
air,
water,
or
and
like-
then you're in the air. So even if they could do an emergency landing, it's just putting you at risk.
Totally.
For
But you know who has a
preterm
private plane?
labor.
Her family, who can get to her immediately and be there for her.
Yeah, no, her mom's with her.
Right,
But
so I think
how,
she's
don't-
good.
Yeah,
could you
it's-
imagine?
It's sad. And, you know, honestly, when I read it, it kind of resonated because so many women, when they are pregnant, if they're gonna get cheated on, they often get cheated on during pregnancy. Again,
Why?
I don't know, you know, Chloe on a personal level, I'm not speaking of her, but it's because they're in a more vulnerable position.
Yeah.
What?
It's sad. A lot of people
But
get,
that
not a
person's
lot,
having their child.
Yeah,
many people
but
get
there's
cheated on when
a
they're
certain
pregnant.
type of person out there that's gonna cheat, and not
Exactly.
everyone's nice. So if someone is more vulnerable, like a wounded animal, then
Exactly.
the person's gonna fucking
take
pounce.
advantage of it.
Totally.
Terrible.
That sucks.
Abuse, same thing. Like if
Same
there
thing.
is domestic abuse, a lot of times it comes out during pregnancy because the woman is in a vulnerable situation and they know that they're
Easier
more,
target.
Exactly.
Oh, I
It's
can't.
really
Hopefully
sad.
she doesn't have HPV on top of all
Okay,
this
yeah,
mess.
let's-
But
I
going
guess
back
let's
to
get back
Michelle,
to
can you
HPV.
tell everyone what HPV
So
actually is?
HPV is human papillomavirus. Okay, there's hundreds of strains of this virus. Some of the strains of this virus are high risk to lead to cervical changes, which could lead to cervical cancer. Again, if you get it, doesn't mean you're going to get cervical cancer, but there are certain high risk types that put you at a higher risk for it. Okay.
Right.
There's also types of HPV that can lead to genital warts.
Oh.
Okay. So those are two different things and they don't cross over. And so that was also an important thing when you say, oh, I got HPV, it's important to know
Which
what
one?
type of HPV you got. I'm
Right.
assuming based on the way that she presented the story that it was from a pap smear.
Yes.
That's the, you know, when
Yeah.
most people say, hey, I got HPV and they
Yeah.
don't say I got genital warts. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what HPV is. And so like she said, probably when she went before, her test was normal and now it's not. And so the question is, well, where did I get it from? You don't know. And then how do you talk to your partner? This is also interesting because even though it's considered a sexually transmitted infection, it's so common. And so 80% of the population will come in contact with HPV at some point during their life, right? So it's a different conversation than the ones where you're having, okay, I got this STD that's a lot more rare. That's a little bit scarier.
Different.
It's different. And so people are like, well, should I tell my partner? Should I not? I think you should, but in a way that's very educated and informed in that, you know, 80% of the population come in contact with it. Sometimes when you get it, it can lead to changes on your pap smear, and that's the kind that I've gotten. That's the kind that my doctor mentioned. It's really not a real risk to the man at that point.
It's not ever, isn't
Well, there's some. It kind
Can't
of
they
is
get
there-
HPV?
They can get HPV, and in rare cases, they can get penile cancer.
Oh.
You can also get oral cancer,
Right.
from HPV from having oral sex. But again, that's much more rare than the cancers that we see with cervical. So again, it's just if you tell your partner, it's I had an abnormal pap smear, it's from HPV. You could have given it to me. Someone else could have given it to me.
Yeah.
It's a big mystery, really.
It's a big mystery. And also,
It's a
I think
mystery.
HPV, it kind of sucks. I am totally going to be blunt here. I got HPV not that long ago, and I have zero idea where. I've never had an abnormal exam ever, and then I did.
Right.
And I was like, this is weird. As I spoke to all of my friends, they all were like, I've had it too. I'm like, oh my
80%.
God.
I remember the first thing I said to you was like, well, here's a list of the following people who
Yeah.
also
Well,
have it.
it's like you as
Sorry,
a woman, though, you feel, I think it's important, and Michelle should know this, like, because you're basically the carrier of it, and the man, like, basically
Well,
giver to, or he's the carrier.
He's the carrier, and you have the signs.
It's just messed up.
So it feels like you have the thing, like it's my fault, and now I have to tell you that I have this thing, and it's like, well, but it's not necessarily, I mean, like, you could have given it to me or whatever. We don't know where it originated, but also, like, doesn't totally affect you because you don't have a cervix, uterus, or
Exactly.
whatever it is. So it's like how.
And you rarely could get something from it, but chances are you're not. The other important thing to bring up, and I don't know how things turned out for you, but like most people clear it, right? So like within a couple of years, it's going to go away. I had an abnormal pap smear. I had HPV when I was in residency.
Right.
And I was a resident knowing what I know and was still like, oh my God, I'm going to die of cervical cancer.
Well-
I like told my boyfriend at the time, I hate you.
Yeah, wait, did you have
And
to, but then
it went away.
There's
Just
different.
went away.
Oh,
Wait,
it went
on
away.
its own, I have a girlfriend that got acupuncture, and it helped it go away.
I am not an over-treater with the form of thought in my brain about medication, and I am not a doctor, in case you're confused. I'm
I thought
not
you
a doctor.
were. You're a bartender, that's for sure.
No, yes, well, I'm just pouring the drinks. I'm like, did I need, so you go in and you have it removed, right? Like they go in and they,
So it depends on the grade you have. If the abnormal, like, so you can have HPV and have no abnormality. They wouldn't do anything. Okay.
Oh.
You could have a low grade abnormality. We still don't really do anything. We just watch it. When it starts to get into a higher grade,
Mine
or
was like a
medium,
3.
then you got to get it removed.
so
You gotta
then
get
she
it
removed it.
Exactly.
And then
Wait, what's the highest number, though?
5, I think.
No.
Oh, no?
3.
Oh, 3.
Oh.
And then you progress into cancer.
There we go.
Well, but you
So
know
that's
what's,
why you had to
what's
have it
weird
removed.
is
Yeah.
that the year before, totally normal.
Yeah.
So
And that's what's also scary about
That
it
it was-
is that it can be rapidly progressing.
So-
Wait, but also now, when I went to my gynecologist, I don't know, in November, he said to me that because of these new laws with medicine, you can only do a pap smear now every 3 years unless there's something abnormal. However, what if on the off year something develops?
yeah.
Yeah, so it's not a law, right? It's a recommendation. And so that's the recommendation per the American College of OBGYN that you mentioned
Yeah.
a fellow of.
Yeah.
So that's what they're recommending. And the reason is because most people clear it, they don't want people to have too many like invasive,
Yes.
exams and things like that. And also whenever you look at recommendations, you have to remember that's on like a global health scale.
Right.
So it's risk and benefit of what's good for the general public.
But if you want it,
If
Dr.
you
Perry, you
want
can
it-
say. Also, I was told by
Exactly.
another gynecologist that said, if you feel uncomfortable and you want one every year, and
Exactly.
it's fine for you, you can say it. You can also say
Then you have a new sexual partner.
Yes,
Yes.
I've had unprotected
Yes.
sex,
Yes.
and I need to get checked.
Exactly.
And please do the things.
Exactly. Again, this is the recommendation.
Yes.
It's not like a law. What might happen is your insurance may not cover it.
That's rude.
But that's a whole nother issue.
Well,
and again, I'm not speaking for insurance
I had to
companies,
go
but-
back and have a leap.
Yeah,
What's that?
that's where they really remove it.
That she did the first procedure where she
Yeah.
removed it, and then she's like, "I want to go back in." And then what do they take out? Your cervix, your uterus? What?
No,
your
no,
cervix?
no. It's a little piece of your cervix.
So I saw my cervix like on the table. But then it's
Yeah.
like you have to be careful if you're planning on getting pregnant in the future ever, that the
gets
measurement
short
of your
in your
cervix
yeah.
is very important. A short cervix is not a good thing. So you have to make sure to tell your gynecologist that I have a chunk of my cervix
you're really
gone.
good. You're good. You
Also,
listened. A lot of people
great
forget this.
because
Well,
I'm
she really
not
cares.
a spring
Yeah.
chicken,
Right.
and so I'm like, oh, could we add another thing onto the list per why I cried last night because I thought I was too old to have a baby.
Aw.
It just happens.
Just for all the listeners, even if you get HPV, it's rare for you to get number 3, like you said. It's called CIN3, and it's rare for you to have to get to that stage to
Did
have
I
the
have
leap.
a bad thing? I just
It wasn't a good thing.
okay.
Wasn't a
So
good thing.
But it's
I.
fine.
But listen,
You're
I
good
just
now.
got checked a week ago, and it's normal.
Yeah. So that's perfect. It worked. Yay!
I don't have HPV.
You should drink to that.
Yeah.
We should all drink to it.
I'll drink
And
to it.
Michelle, I think you should just tell your man, listen, I got this thing. I don't know where it comes from. I have to get it treated, and let's have sex.
Yeah.
Right.
And just remind him and everyone else that you come in contact with that might get HPV, 80% of the population comes in contact with it. Like, if you are sexually active, you will come in contact with it. You're not a leper. You're not a freak.
Yeah.
Well, also,
common.
because you can't track who gave it to you.
Right.
So
Yeah.
let's just say I'll use myself. Whatever. Sorry, everyone. Let's say I give it to someone, or someone gave it to me, and it was 18 months ago, and now I have it, but the person I'm with now has it probably from me. But, or they
could
don't know.
have
or,
it from the person
Right.
before
Before
you.
them.
Like, you can't
Yeah.
track it. So basically, everyone's going to have it at some point.
Right, which is why we recommend everyone getting vaccines now
Oh,
from
okay.
ages 12 to 26.
So when I had that years and years and years ago, I was told many years later that it wasn't actually, like, I don't know.
Like an effective vaccine.
Yeah, that it was actually not effective.
you
and
had the vaccine.
Yeah.
How long ago?
A million years ago when it first started, and I had to
So,
go for
like-
3 times to get.
Yeah. I think it came out around 2000 and, don't quote me, but 6, 7.
Oh yeah, my
somewhere
mom
in
brought me to
there.
the gynecologist. She's like, bring her,
Yeah.
take her. And
I don't
shot-
trust-
Again,
I
it
don't
doesn't-
trust this one.
It
shoot
doesn't-
her up.
It's not that it wasn't that the
Thanks, Mom.
vaccine's not effective. Probably what occurred is at that time it was protecting against about 4 types of HPV.
And
I
now there's
think.
more.
Like the flu,
Now
it
there's
just-
9.
Oh.
It's now the newest ones protect against 9 types.
So should I go get another vaccine?
So that's a common question. You know, technically, I guess you're older. How old are you? I don't know.
I'm
Am I-
33.
Okay, so you're out of the 26 range, so you're
Oh.
not recommended. But if you wanted to, if you're going to continue to be sexually active, you could get it out on your own.
Continue.
merit.
I have to start.
I think
Well,
you
okay,
should.
Well, if you're going to start being sexually active, you could do it. But again, you're going to be paying for that because your insurance won't cover it if you're past the age of 26.
Is there some secret thing I can tell them?
You could lie about your age and change it on
fake
IMDb.
ID. You could get a fake
Perfect.
ID, I guess. No, I'm kidding.
Dr. Pari.
I'm kidding.
Well, my doctor would do it for me. I think so. What else?
It's probably because you're
Shout out
having
to
sex with
my
him.
doc. No, he tried to set me up with his son.
He's a boy. I'm just saying.
What?
I'm just saying it could have been a girl.
My
And
doctor?
I just reached out of the world and said he was a man.
Well, my
I think
doctor
she
is a
said
man.
he. I think
yeah.
she said he.
He is a man, and he has a son who he wanted me to date. And I'm like, that's awkward.
That's sweet,
But thank
kinda.
you, I
You're
guess.
like-
if you think my cervix is gonna make all the babies, and you want me to
Maybe.
date, but I don't want to date his son.
Oh, well, anyway. But that was very informative. And I think a
Yes.
lot of people probably wanted to know about that because 80% of the population is in Michelle's position and
Yes.
mine as well.
Yeah.
So, and you guys don't forget to follow us at Complicated Show and Write and, ask us questions and keep
We'll
sending
get
all
them
the things
answered.
in. And we're going to, you can go on our Facebook page too and just write on the wall like graffiti.
About all the things you learned about sex.
No, and ask us questions there
Oh, right,
too.
that too.
That.
About sex.
Yeah.
So, guys, today obviously we're discussing,
Safe sex. Yeah.
and how to do it in the world of dating, and now we're dating strangers because they're on apps. I met a guy on an app who seems lovely. So it can happen, and then we date them, but we don't know anything about them.
I think you kind of feel like you know more though than just if you met someone in like a bar because you've got this like list of information and pictures and that's his sister and these are so it's a little bit like
Yeah, if you do a
false.
good job
So-
stalking.
I was
right.
going to say, if then you take it to Facebook and then you take it to Instagram,
Right.
you
Right.
pretty much
It's
know
like-
everything.
But
Verify and do the whole
don't confuse that
investigation
with
board.
not having safe sex because like you don't really know the person. Okay, so and this is like
And you could be with them, and they could still cheat on you, like Tristan Thompson.
yes,
Sorry,
which
had
is
to bring it up again.
also
Still
like
upset.
the guy that I was dating before the guy I'm dating now is probably I'm just like he's the one who gave me HPV.
We're all fired up
Who
here.
knows? But anyway, he was probably him. And thanks a lot. But it's fine now. And we are. This is like such a general question, but I feel like it's real. Like, what is practicing safe sex? Like, what you can say?
Can you
it's
ever
such a
be safe?
cliched. I feel like you could get an STD from like my vagina touching the side of your penis, like, and now
You
I have
can.
herpes.
Yeah, you
Or like,
can.
what do you do? You just can't. How do you do that?
You know, if you look at what is out there, what is recommended, the only 100% way you're never going to have an STD is if you are completely abstinent, okay? But who's completely abstinent?
A nun.
Nobody, right?
Well,
But
that's not what we're here to talk about.
Yeah,
So you guys go have
exactly.
sex. How do you do it?
So the next best thing is
Mm.
to use a condom.
But okay, so you use a condom. It
100%
covers
of the
so
time.
much, but
I
then
know.
there's the rest of the
There
skin
is.
exposed.
There
Yeah.
is, but
Blowjobs?
you're supposed to use a condom.
Oh, have you
I'm
ever given a
telling you,
blowjob with a condom? Never in my. I am sorry, Mom. Plug your ears. But hell,
Also my mom.
No. Sorry, I know you're right. And then, but hold on though. If you,
Technically, that's
I'm
what
gonna
you're
be,
supposed to do.
I'm gonna be just do it here. And if you swallow, it's even worse, right?
Right, because you're exchanging.
But
bodily
then
fluids.
also, what if you know, he ejaculates in your mouth and then you spit, but it's still in your mouth?
doesn't. Yeah, you
It's
still
like
been
mouthwash.
exposed.
Is it worse or not? Is it worse to swallow or does it not matter at that point?
I don't think it really matters.
Okay, so
at that
cool.
point.
You got throat cancer.
That's how you get the oral pharyngeal cancer by HPV.
See, guys?
technically.
So you can give it back to yourself if you have it, and then
Ooh, that's deep, but yeah.
It's a circle. It's a circle of
Circle of
cancer.
life.
circle of life.
and
circle
death.
of life.
And it's really death.
you guys see this
It's
is what I'm
not
saying.
death. Don't say it's death because most people that get HPV do not end up getting
No,
cancer.
but like, what if you get some sort of like oral? What do you call it? Oral cancer? Oral?
Yes.
Some fancy
Yes.
science word. But you could get that, and then do you get chemo? Like, what happens to you?
Yeah, radiation or chemo, or depending on if they
And you
can
never make out
depending
with
on-
anybody ever again for the rest of your life. I would just kill myself.
But wait, how
Okay,
do you?
well-
Sorry.
How do you? Well, yeah, but how do
Sad,
you?
but what do you do?
I didn't know that you could transfer cancer like through
Well, it's not
bodily.
that you're transferring cancer.
Okay, what are
You're
you
transferring
cells.
a virus?
Oh, that.
It's
That
a
causes
virus
cancer.
that puts you at risk
Got
for
it.
developing cancer.
Understood. Because
So
I'm like, how does that work?
HPV is human papilloma virus,
That
and
causes-
that virus can lead to changes of certain cells, which then can lead to cancer.
And it affects your uterus or like something in your
Cervix.
mouth.
What comes in contact
It
with
can
it?
lead to cervical cancer.
cervix.
Okay. Oral pharyngeal, which basically means your oral and into your throat.
Okay.
You could get anal cancer
Oh,
from
well,
it.
if you're playing the back nine.
You and that damn back nine.
Penile cancer.
Yeah.
So these are all the types.
But why just your cervix? What about like your ovary? It's not.
It doesn't penetrate in there.
Oh.
So your vagina is like a dead end, right?
Oh.
Okay. Except for like
I never thought of it that
it
way.
doesn't. You can't get in there.
romantic.
You can't get in
Oh,
there.
We're getting
Okay.
romantic up here
So
tonight.
there's your uterus and your ovaries that are in your body,
Got
and
it.
then the mouth of your uterus is your cervix.
So covered by the yes.
Is your cervix, and so when you have intercourse and there's semen and all this stuff, the
right
virus
there.
gets right there on those cells. It can't get up all the way into your ovaries, basically.
Because
Okay.
they're higher up.
They're in your
right,
body.
but the sperm goes up into there.
The sperm goes in there and then into your uterus.
Right.
Not sure why it doesn't lead to uterine cancer.
That's what I'm saying.
but it just
Let's
it
just
leads
be
to
glad
certain-
it
there,
doesn't.
and there is the
Yeah, on the
diagram
screen.
of the looks like a.
Oh, that's such a good photo.
there it is. You know what?
Female
I was
reproductive
told that I have
system.
a perfect uterus.
That's nice.
Yeah.
How
I
do
was
they
getting
know? What
examined.
makes it
Well,
perfect?
because
I don't know.
she had her, she was feeling the things and she was like, oh my God, this is like out of a textbook. I was like, well, it's on my resume.
I must too, because my doctor wanted to set me up with a son, and I don't think he
He
would.
must have been like this. The things in here are good for baby making.
That's a little weird. Now when I think about it,
Yeah.
like I was like, oh, that's sweet, and then I'm thinking, oh no, he examined
both.
you, so that's a little
It's both.
different.
It's definitely, but I think it's sweet, but then also like,
But
ew.
also, he sees the vagines all day long. It's like no big deal to him, right? You're like,
Totally.
whatever. It's a fucking vagina.
I tell people, I'm like, dude, it's like looking like at an elbow. Like
Totally.
we see it so much. It's
Yeah.
just like
yeah, you got desensitized, I'm sure.
Yeah,
At some
totally.
point, you're like,
yeah.
science.
He probably just thought you were nice and pretty. And
Yeah.
I feel like he wants me to be his daughter, is what it is. 'cause
maybe.
He's
Yeah.
a son.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay.
Okay, so basically don't touch anybody at all unless you want an STD. Otherwise, you have to use a condom for all the things, which is also not great.
well, I think it's important to note that there's only certain STDs that you can get from the skin to skin.
Which
Right.
ones?
Herpes.
So herpes and then the HPV genital warts.
Yeah.
That's a skin to skin. But like if you're using a condom, you should be protecting yourself, 90
From the viruses
90% of the
transferred
like
by
what
fluids.
HIV, gonorrhea, chlamydia, syphilis, hepatitis. Like you're going to be protected by the
All of them can be
Okay.
treated except for HIV, so they say. I think there's a cure.
Yeah, isn't there one?
There's not, well, okay, so now,
a cocktail of some
again,
sort.
I'm not an HIV specialist, but there are medications that can now, they don't want to say treat because that means it goes away completely, but can treat you to the point where you basically don't have the virus in your system.
So you can't spread it then.
But
Seems like you can spread everything, guys.
The problem
I mean,
with
I would
that-
not risk that, yo.
Exactly.
no.
That's the thing. You
should
don't want to
quarantine
risk it.
to only other people with it. Can you give like a worse strain to somebody that has a less worse? Is it all the same strain of HIV?
Of HIV,
Yeah.
There's not any sort of like good one or bad one.
It has to
Okay.
develop
Just
in
all
your
bad one. body,
immune
and it has
system,
to do with
Okay.
how your immune system
and
handles
your
it.
T cells are
Exactly.
going to shit or not. I'm a doctor. I
I was
told
gonna
you.
say, it seems
Well,
like you.
why do you
I'm
know
very
these
well
things?
informed.
Because I just do. Okay.
Okay. We can label
I'm
that.
informed, but I'm not. Because then I'm like, so I have like the stupidest questions. I'm like, so like what? Like I didn't realize that you couldn't. They say that if you're breastfeeding, then you can't get pregnant, but you can.
Yeah, I always say that's how I have a brother, because we're 14 months apart, and legit, my mom thought that you
What
could
is
get
it, Irish
pregnant.
twins?
An Irish twin, even
Yeah.
though you're not Irish at all.
No, not at
but
all.
it's
But-
either am I. But my brother and I are very close in age as well. And my mom says this. How funny is this? My mom goes, "I could tell when I got pregnant with you." I'm like, "How?" I could feel it. I'm like, that is a bunch of crock
Some
of shit.
people really.
She
have
said
a
she could
good-
feel
Yeah,
it.
there's a lot of people that have that sense, like they just know, and
I
they're
was
right.
like, oh, and she was. And then she's like, and I was pissed. I was like, thank you. That's great. No, but they were so close in age, and I don't know if she was still breastfeeding or not. But there's that myth out there. Like we
course.
want to dispel those myths.
So
like why do people
if-
say that?
Because there's some. The thing is, with a lot of myths, there's some truth to it, right?
Okay.
So if you
Like it's happened at some point, but it doesn't mean it's all the
If you are
time.
breastfeeding perfectly cyclical around the clock, breastfeeding will suppress ovulation.
And so you're still not technically getting your period if you're breastfeeding
Well, so
if you're doing it around the clock.
if you're doing it like perfectly, then
every 3 hours or whatever it is.
yeah, whatever, you know,
Left, then right, then left, then right.
exactly.
Yeah, it is a real
Then
commitment. Ugh.
Hormonally, it should suppress ovulation, meaning you won't release an egg, meaning you can't get pregnant.
Got it.
With that said, if you skip a time or miss a time or whatever, then you could have an escape ovulation and get pregnant.
One escape.
That's what we call it. Yeah,
Yep,
escape
one
ovulation.
escaped. My friend just had a baby, and it was a fetal ejection birth.
What does that mean?
Michelle.
It flew out.
No, I got. Yeah, I
we
figured.
call it a precipitous delivery.
Okay.
That's the
Yes,
technical term.
Like
she
rain?
was
Like
having she was
precipitation?
having the baby at home. She was having 1 hour of contractions,
out, yeah.
and the contractions were 3 straight minutes of relentless contraction, not like every minute 20 seconds and then off, straight. And she was like, what is going on? And she had this one contraction where she made a noise, and the midwife was like, oh fuck, and like ran across the room and like moved her position, and the baby like shot out.
Yeah.
What? Yes, these are all real things. You know, you get like really bad hemorrhoids when you have a baby. Your hair falls out after,
Yeah.
like in clumps.
None
your
of this
hair
sounds
falls.
appealing.
Nobody tells you these things.
I know.
Well, that's
I
why we're
know,
telling
I
everyone.
know.
Like,
you guys
how
have to know.
important.
How scary. And now does
But
anybody?
people forget and they love it and they do it again and again and again. Like it's the most amazing
I
thing.
am terrified, but it's going to happen.
The
I
circle
know.
of life.
Right.
Again, a real circle of life here.
Okay,
Life.
so
Crazy time.
It's speaking of getting pregnant and like freezing eggs and things like that. Maybe I'm wrong, but in my brain, I'm trying to be logical about it. I'm like, so if I'm supposed to freeze my eggs when I'm like, let's say I'm 36, and I'm like, shit, I should freeze my eggs. So I freeze my eggs, and then I'm like, oh my God, I'm 41. I don't have a partner, or I do, or whatever. I want to have a baby now. So now, tell me how this sounds better than not. And I guess there's a myriad of things that can be wrong with you that will play into this. So it's hard for you to actually answer it. But like, I'm now 41 and I'm artificially impregnating myself, and I'm supposed to think that's going to be easy. Like my body, 41-year-old body, is now being implanted artificially with an egg that, yes, is younger, but like everything else is not. So like,
So you're bringing up a good point,
Yeah.
because you know that's a different doctors, especially like reproductive endocrinology and fertility doctors. That's RAI. That's who like does all this egg freezing and injecting and all that stuff. They all have a different opinion on like how late is it okay to impregnate someone or to implant an embryo. Some will say, oh, I don't go over 42. Some say I don't go over 44. Some say I don't go over 50.
What? First of all,
but isn't it a case-to-case situation?
It is a case to case, because also it has to do with like how healthy are you as a person.
yeah, because
Totally.
also you lose a lot of sleep when you have a child.
Well, that too. I mean, that's different. That's
But that's
psychological.
after. That's postpartum.
But like,
Yeah.
the whole thing to me sounds like exhausting. The older you get, I can barely
Oh, well,
like
no,
wake
but
up
there-
early.
but I
But
don't-
that's more of like a psychological, personal, like, are you going to have enough patience for your child? Do you mind that when your kid's 18, you're 78 or
They're
I mean?
talking
That's
about
different.
biological
your actual
safety
body.
of
physical
Yes.
physical
Yay,
safety
yay.
and it is case to case because there are women that get pregnant naturally at 41 or 42
Totally.
and
How does
are
that
totally
happen?
fine
Because
you're
they-
still ovulating.
Yeah.
You're still ovulating. The issue with fertility is that on a curve, it starts to decrease at around the age of 32, very, very slowly.
Yes.
And as you get closer to 40, it kind of nosedives down. But that's most people. I mean, there are people that are
Right.
greatly fertile at 46 or 47. It does happen.
And it also doesn't always have to do with, I mean, like, listen, you can have a massive amount of eggs, more than a normal person, but you still can't carry a baby for other reasons.
Well, right. And it's also
What are those other
important-
reasons, though?
Well, we'll get there, but I think it's also important to note that it's not just the quantity of the egg, meaning the amount, it's the quality.
Right.
Right? Because as you get older, the quality goes down. So that's why there's more of a risk of miscarriage. And then there's a risk of congenital problems like Down syndrome
Yes.
or other genetic
And
disorders.
the male
'cause-
sperm
'cause of
age
quality.
plays into it slightly as well.
Slightly, what we're figuring out is that it does, but again, that's usually for people that are way old. Like
Yeah.
for men, it's like 60s, 70s, they may have like an increased risk of autism. It's not the same. Down syndrome is completely dependent upon the mother's egg age.
That's
Completely.
a lot of responsibility.
Whoa.
So that is a tough pill to swallow. Also, because let's say, okay, we're
Okay.
let's
Oh my
starting a new
God,
relationship.
that just really bummed me out, Dr. Perry.
Now,
I'm
we're not
sorry.
supposed to apply pressure to anybody we date, and we're all females
Right.
here, so we can just
Right.
speak from the feminine side, and men listening get to it because this is going to hurt.
Stop dragging your feet.
We don't want to be uncool and say, hey, how about that ring? How about that wedding? Got a fucking baby to pop out because, like, schedule, health,
Right.
autism, don't want to be blamed later, the whole freaking thing. We don't even have to worry about HPV. We're past that at this point. Safe sex. We're having sex. Baby time. Like, how do we have a conversation with a guy without sounding like, my doctor says you need to marry me and impregnate me tomorrow so that this baby comes out healthy? How do you say that without sounding like a psychopath?
I mean,
Yeah.
I think personally that, I'm in the same boat, okay? I'm 37, I'm single, I froze my eggs last year, and I was weighing all of these kind of things. And that was part of it. Is like, you don't want to go into situations feeling pressured. I don't want to even feel pressured and then I end up with the wrong person
Exactly.
because I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to have this talk or I need to make these decisions. I think most guys are aware. I mean, they know, like,
Do
They just,
age.
it's not in
I
the
think
forefront
so.
of their mind.
It's
But
not
they
on the
also don't
forefront, but-
Google what will happen if I
Right.
impregnate somebody later
Totally.
in life. Will it give my child autism? Like,
I
they don't
think,
Google that
I
search
think
term.
you have a conversation with your doctor, and then this is what I did. Like, my boyfriend's older; he's about to be 41. He has a daughter from a like a year from now. I'm almost 39. Like, ow.
Yeah, and
Like-
all of these things play
Yes.
play a role. It's a big dilemma because people are getting married later, they're having children
Yes.
later. It's really a problem of our generation. Like,
Totally.
we're the first ones that are starting to kind of push the envelope of when you get married and when you have kids. So I think a lot of people are kind of thinking about things. I'm totally single. So let's say I meet someone. Well, then I'm going to want to date them a year. Then we're going to want to get engaged. That's going to take another year. Then we're going to want to find a house. We might want to go on a couple vacations.
Yeah,
And
the
then
3
all of a
years
sudden,
later,
I'm 40.
40.
And so I was like, that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to go talk to someone about this because
Your egg age.
Your egg age matters. And realistically, it may take a few years to get to that point.
It
So-
may.
Okay, so two things, people watching and listening. This obviously, we've now all three of us just said out loud that we think about this timetable. Everyone listening
Totally.
needs to be aware this is not just that one person you're dating that they might seem crazy. No, this is a real thing.
It's a real
because
thing.
it is biology. There is nothing we can do about it. Even
real
though
life.
science, you can harvest eggs, or not harvest, but freeze eggs, and you can go retrieve them and put them inside you.
That would
Doesn't
be the
mean
harvesting.
A,
Yeah.
you're gonna get babies or
No.
healthy ones, and B, there at some point you cannot implant them. You are too old. You've aged out.
That is
Right?
true. There are a lot of doctors that will say you're aged out. You also bring up a good point. You can go through that process and not get that many eggs,
Yeah.
or later on in life when you go to thaw them, they don't thaw out right.
Or you could have a
You could
million viable
miscarry.
eggs, but you can't hold the egg. You
Right.
can't carry the.
Right.
I mean, there's so.
With
So many
that
things.
said, okay, so with that said, this is plain devil's advocate or the caveat, which I always think about. With that said, you could push into marrying someone, either yourself or push them, get together, and then have 5 miscarriages. Or have a kid that has
Totally.
a genetic problem or mental retardation, and now you're stuck with this person that you don't even know if you really like that much. You just thought you had to get married to be on a timetable.
And now you have this this unplanned situation that you didn't go is, I mean, obviously it's your child, so you love them no matter what, but it's not.
It can happen anyway. It's
Yes,
kind of the
right.
point. And
Right.
so
So
you
there's-
always want to pick the right partner and do it at the right time. Because I've seen that with women that are patients that, you know, they get married because they think they should, or it's that time, they've been dating a certain amount of time, and then they go through all this heartache and heartbreak with trying to get pregnant or losing pregnancies, and then they don't have the right partner to support them. So
Yeah.
it's hard. It's hard.
It is hard.
Yeah.
So what do they do? Let's say you age out. Okay, if you froze
Okay.
your eggs, and then at some point you're just like,
I'm like 49 or
right.
something. And,
Or let's just even say you're 44.
okay.
And you're
You
single, you even were in a relationship, you thought it was going in the direction, like we talked about the timetable, like it was like, okay, I'm gonna date them for a year, we're gonna get married, then we're gonna travel. You end up getting married.
Now you're
and
back
then-
at square one at
Right.
44.
And then you still haven't done the whole baby thing yet. What happens to the eggs that you froze?
So they give you, because I froze, I went through the process. They basically give you the option. So you can either
Donate.
donate
Thank God.
Pay me my money.
or just discard them.
it's
Or,
just
or I think donate, that's it. It's donate to a person, donate to research, or discard.
Oh my gosh.
you
Well,
know,
those are good options. The research
better
part.
than nothing.
Well, first of all, if somebody discards their eggs, okay, it's all
Listen,
personal
you
preference.
discard them every month, honey.
Well, no, but it's also
True
like
that.
a personal.
That's good. You are a doctor.
I am.
I agree with that. However, I think there are a lot of people that do want to have babies, but then it's a whole personal thing. Like, do you want
Right.
your child running around in someone else's
Yeah,
life?
that's such-
It's like you can't really mess with that. It's
What about
to each his own,
spinning?
but-
I think it's called spinning. I'm making this up. Where I don't know. You take the sperm and you put it in, I believe, a centrifuge.
Yeah.
Spin it really fast, and
She
you
has Google. Let's not get twisted
No,
here.
I have conversations. I am a
Google.
wordsmith.
I'm impressed with
It
that.
has nothing to do with
And-
this memory. Go.
Jen,
What?
I know what I'm talking about.
Sorry,
and
MD,
the
go.
sperm separates the male and female, and you can pick which. If I could pick, I would never do this because I feel like it's really fucking with the man.
Would you not?
And that's.
So-
But I would pick two boys
So
for sure.
there's
Two?
there's sex selection that you can do with embryos. So if you do IVF or something, and you have like a
right.
you can do a egg and a sperm, and you make an embryo, and then you basically do genetic testing on them, and then you choose.
Beggars
which
can't be
one.
choosers.
I have
yo.
a question though. Why can they figure that part out, but they can't figure out how to make women be able to have babies longer?
What are you
What do
talking
you mean
about?
longer?
Oh,
You mean
like
later?
Like you're,
later,
yeah.
later.
I mean, but they have figured.
I was like,
it
you
out.
don't want
I
that
mean,
to take long.
No, I
yeah. No, they really have figured out. I mean, it's amazing how science is evolving all the time. I mean, for me, even when I went to go freeze my eggs and I met with the infertility doctor, I was like, well, I'm debating on this because, you know, I also heard that I know that the egg thawing isn't that great. And he was like, Pari, that's when we were in residency, and like, because now I'm a general OB, I don't really learn that much about fertility as I did when I was in training. And
Yeah.
he was like, we've progressed so much since that.
Wow.
Like now the thawing process of the egg is almost as good as the thawing of an embryo. So like you should definitely do
Oh,
it.
so you were surprised to
yeah,
hear
I was
that
surprised
fact. Yeah.
myself. I was like, oh, okay. So every year there's more and more.
And if you have,
that's
you know,
happening.
frozen eggs in a bank, like these, they're there. So 2 years
Exactly.
from now, all the technology
Right.
is still there.
Right.
But the
It's
real question
progressed.
is, when is it going to go down in cost? Because it's
Oh,
very
yeah. It's
expensive.
expensive.
But
It
I
is.
think now, okay, I think because we now live longer,
Mm-hmm.
we obviously have children later.
Right.
We get married later.
Right.
Everything should adjust. So this should be more affordable, personally,
Yeah.
I think, because it's allowing people in the workforce to work longer.
Yeah.
And not get pregnant and take maternity leave when they're
Right.
just getting started or whatever it is.
It is, because I know for facts, like when I started out practicing, I want to say it was about $10,000 more than it is now. Like it was in the 20s, $30,000. So it's getting more affordable, and some insurances are covering it. And I have girlfriends that work for like big companies that the company will pay for you to freeze your eggs.
Hell yeah.
Well,
So
but
it's
that-
happening.
yes,
it's
that is
happening.
Google,
happening.
buy my baby.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, my doctor told me, he's like, so are you seeing anyone? And I was at the time I
Asking
was
for
like-
a friend.
Well, he was asking for his son. No. But I said no. And he's like, okay, well, you know, at the time I was 32 before my 33rd birthday. And he's like, well, listen, you know, by the time you're 37, if you're not like seeing anyone, married, the whole thing, like, sorry, you need to freeze your eggs.
Yeah.
And he's like, in a couple years, we should talk about it. I'm like, in a couple years, hopefully I'm married, but fine. I like your trajectory and I like the
No, I like
timetable.
that,
We're
and
planning.
I love that he brought it up because
Yeah.
it
I don't
is
think he's going to be
something-
working then because he's old.
But I
him.
love that he brought it up because there are so many people that don't bring it up. They never mention it. And then you wake up one day and you're like,
Scrambling your eggs.
right.
So gross.
Hopefully
Nice
not.
phrasing,
So awful.
but, yeah.
I'm gonna.
Don't do that.
No.
That's not what you
Don't
want to do.
scramble your
But
eggs.
yes, you're scrambling. 'cause you're
Scrambling
like,
for eggs.
eggs. You're like,
Yeah.
Exactly.
shit.
It's like Easter.
It's like Easter egg hunt central,
Well-
which I felt like when I was searching for the Easter eggs this year on the Easter egg hunt that it was maybe like symbolic me. Like I was dropping
metaphor.
elbows for the eggs. I was like, move out of my way. Yeah, I was.
Oh my God, you're like Bane.
I was like, give me my eggs. No, it was fine. I'm
I
fine.
thought there was something good in those eggs.
No, there was a $100 bill in the golden egg
there
somewhere,
always
but
is.
I did not find it, which is not symbolic. Please, don't let that be. the
No,
truth.
it's not.
It's gonna be fine. I've been told by a couple psychics that I was meant to have babies,
Hey.
so maybe I'm just
And
like
they know everything.
they do. I'm gonna say that psychic and the other one was correct.
Well, I will tell you this: a psychic, our recent psychic, told me I wasn't going to start seeing anyone until like October, but I met someone awesome, so I'm like, maybe that psychic's wrong, or maybe we're getting married in October.
or maybe it like goes to the next level, which also
What's
before
that?
we
What is
play
the next level?
the next level is when you decide to go to the next level. It's like a
3
notch
months or
up.
12 dates. That's
yeah,
what I say.
or
Wait,
but
what?
3 months or 12 dates. But how do you
For sex
then,
or marriage?
No, I'm saying to like get serious.
yeah.
To get
But
serious.
then also at that
hold on.
point
no,
is this
not marriage.
I didn't know what we were talking about.
It depends.
Sometimes people move fast.
Dr. Perry, do
Yes.
you then at this point where you're taking it to the next level, do you then say, okay, now we want to have like unprotected sex because we're monogamous? Like, is that
So you
When's
should
that
have
okay?
you should have a monogamy conversation, an exclusivity conversation, and then you should both get tested prior to having unprotected sex and say, "Hey, I got tested. You get tested. Cool. Now we're monogamous." And then,
But then-
that's trust. I mean, that's life, right? Like, of
Right.
course, you can't.
run into
Chloe and
HPV,
Tristan.
whatever?
Yeah.
Also, like, can't
Can't let it
HIV
go.
lie dormant for like 6 months or something?
Yeah.
So what the fuck?
But again, that would be if you have unprotected sex, then I recommend you come in and get tested within a week, and then again in 3 months, and then again in 6 months.
Oh boy.
So assuming you've been with the same person,
then you can be
I mean, this is all again like personal conversations and
Right.
nuances of when they last had unprotected sex. But
Right.
typically, if you go get it, clean bill of health, and both of you guys agree, then you just got to rely on trust.
Right. And then I have another question. This is like, I've never understood this. So let's say you're on the pill.
Yes.
Okay. And my boyfriend happens to be particularly paranoid about not taking the pill at the same time every day, in which I do. I know that it's a little time sensitive, but I'm like, oh, I took my pill a half hour late. He's like, I'm like, fucking calm down. It's a 30 minutes. Like,
Well,
it's
this is a
going to
good
be
way
okay.
to segue into our game, which is called Sex Specs.
But that doesn't
Okay.
really matter that much, does
Yeah.
it?
So
Tell
you
us
should
about
try
this.
to take it around the same
Yes.
time of
Really?
day.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm just gonna throw this out there. Sorry, Mom, close
Some
your ears.
people are more sensitive than others.
I took mine at all hours of the day.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'd take 2 in a day because I forgot the day before, and I was having unprotected sex with my boyfriend.
Right.
And
Nothing.
And you never
nothing.
got
Maybe you're in.
pregnant. Yeah.
Does
Maybe
that mean
you're
I'm
in.
infertile?
It
Yeah, my
definitely-
doctor
it
said I am not
It
infertile.
definitely does not, because again, it's supposed to be a pill that lasts 24 hours.
Right,
And we even tell
right.
people if you miss one, it's fine. Just take 2, and you're still okay that month.
Oh,
If you
except
miss
you feel
2 in
ill.
a pack,
Then
you
it's
need
a
to
problem.
use, then you need to use backup. With that said, there are people that are more sensitive.
Yes.
So there are people, if they take it in the morning, then they take it in the night, they get pregnant. I mean, it just happens.
It's
so
very.
do
Just
your
be
best,
careful.
Do your best to take it around the same time of day.
Okay, great. All right. Well, there's a couple more myths before we wrap
Okay,
up that we
okay.
need to dispel, because between our teenage years and reading like YM and then Cosmo and
my
like now
God.
we're on this dating show, like we have all this information that might not be true. We don't fucking know. We're like, somebody told me that you can't dry hump because if the sperm goes through your underwear, you can get pregnant.
I mean,
like
that can happen.
But see,
What?
and then yes,
I mean, anything's possible, but
Right?
no, that can't
You
happen.
dry hump?
yes, it's a
I
obvious.
have
when was the last time
I've
you said that?
had-
Even
I say dry hump. But I have seen a patient that was pregnant that claimed she was a virgin. I mean, this stuff,
claims.
it does happen though.
Does it? Or is she
Technically.
lying?
Could you tell by looking at her
No.
No,
cervix, if
and
she-
that's one of those myths. People are always
See?
like, "Oh, can the doctor tell if I've had sex or not sex?" No, because yes, you have a hymen, otherwise known as
The
cherry.
cherry.
Yeah, but that can open up earlier in life for many other things. So
Like
back
horseback
riding.
yeah,
Or
There's the
spinning.
myth.
Yeah,
There's the
the
myth.
myth.
See, so we're
That's
gonna
not a
dispel
myth. That's
very
not a myth.
quickly.
We're
Okay.
going to dispel these myths really quickly, and we need you to help us figure out what's
Educate the
real
public.
and what's not real. Some of these are kind of specific. So then whatever. Okay, so intercourse alone can bring a woman to orgasm.
Yes, true.
What?
It can, but it's not that common though.
It's about 30 to 40% of women can have an orgasm from strict intercourse.
I mean, that's just not ever gonna. You can't.
This is a small percentage if we want to talk
Sorry.
about it.
Well,
People out
listen,
there that
guys,
maybe
but
listening
it
and
is-
watching.
it can-
It's true.
it's true.
hard. It's harder, but just know
hard.
that. Okay.
Okay. Men are not naturally monogamous and women are.
I don't know about that. I'm not the expert for that. That sounds like some sort of sociological study or something.
Is. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but I think we can generally say maybe that might be true. Men must ejaculate to experience sexual pleasure.
That's not true. You can get pleasure from all kinds of things.
But then there's pain after, right?
Well,
Blowjobs with condoms.
Don't ever let anyone guilt you into that, people out there, when they're like, oh, I have to because it's going to hurt otherwise.
When you're in your 30s, you don't care about
Yeah, come on. I'm
any
like,
of the
I
guilt.
don't give. Yeah, I'm like, too bad for
I'm
you.
sorry. Gotta go.
Yeah, too bad.
Gotta wake up early and start my day.
Have fun with that.
But I do feel like that's a way that men manipulate women.
Totally.
Which is not nice.
No.
No, manipulation should not be used.
No.
Unless it's to get engaged.
In which case,
And
you're
in that
allowed.
case, call my doctor because the time is ticking.
Yes. And he
Why?
will write me a doctor's note, and
That
then
says I must get engaged by this date.
and it's
or
like,
else.
listen, where's
get
my
no
ring?
babies.
I have a note from Dr. Pari, and she says,
And my
you have
ring
to
size
get
is
it.
this because the doctor measured it.
Yeah. Just
No,
do it.
that's not
I'm
right.
that. No.
Oh,
no.
well, anyway,
Get
moving on then.
engaged when you feel it's ready.
Oh.
Right.
That's the nice answer, but
Yeah,
also.
well, Dr. Perry, just agree with us. How about this? A man must have an erection to enjoy sexual play.
No. Oh, yeah.
No, because to enjoy, I mean, you could enjoy kissing, you could enjoy touching.
But, like, that
you could
doesn't
enjoy
mean-
we don't have to
licking,
feel
you
bad
could
if he's
just,
not getting
I
hard.
mean,
There's
Yeah.
other things going on
There
there.
should be reasons if he's not
It could be
getting
him, not us.
an
Yeah.
erection.
Okay.
There's something else
Yes.
going on.
Sure.
I don't know what that is. Could be a multitude of things.
Could
Right.
it be science, psychology,
Could
a
be-
number of things,
Could
stress?
be stress,
Yep.
psychology,
Financial issues.
medication,
That.
relationship issues. I mean,
Whiskey.
Not,
It's-
it's not you, it's me.
yeah, alcohol.
said
Oh,
by the
it's
guy.
not me, it's you.
No, said by the guy.
Right, okay, perfect. Except
okay,
he might not admit all that.
The myth, the bigger, the better.
Not true. I always say it's the motion of the ocean,
Ocean,
not
yeah.
the size of the wave. Or
I
whatever.
think-
Is that your
I
scientific?
think it also depends.
Scientific
Every
response.
woman's, canal and area is different too.
Canal.
Like there's
Also
certain
romantic.
positions. Yeah, there's
Right.
certain positions that I'm like, ow.
That is true.
Don't
There-
do that.
Well, there are certain people that are
I feel
more
like-
well endowed, and it can actually
I
not
feel-
feel great.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, it just
So,
depends.
I
It
think
depends.
compatibility is
Yes,
probably
That's it.
Yes.
Compatibility, rhythm, connection again, physical and mental.
not being disgusted by them and stuff.
yeah, that
Liking
helps.
them,
Yeah,
Right.
knowing
wanting,
them,
yeah, knowing
wanting
them,
them.
knowing their name. That all those things help. Jen, why don't you do one more?
Okay.
Your favorite.
Oh, well, hold on.
There- I mean,
have to
there's
pick
so
my-
many.
There's so
Pick
many
your
we
thing.
have collected for this. Oh. Okay, the most important thing a woman wants in bed is a man who can bring her to orgasm.
I don't think that's always true.
I don't think it is either.
I think there are women that
Jen blinked her eyes
It
very
depends.
slowly.
It depends.
What are we doing there? Making tea? Playing dominoes?
I think
Like,
it's
what's going
super
on?
important to be able to experience orgasm. I don't think it's something that women should say it's not important to them. It is important.
Sure.
You should be able to, but I don't want to say for every woman that's the most important.
Because you
thing.
can connect. I think sex is about connection for women. I can say I feel like that's a popular statement, and for me, and that's what you're looking for. You can connect in other ways without having an orgasm, although it's good to do.
But it is
For
important.
that, I
It's
connect with my
important.
dog. I'd marry my dog then.
Jen.
Like, what's the point?
No.
Everybody's different. Is what I'm saying.
Everybody's
So
different.
you can't say
True.
most or
Right.
Maybe for you, that's a deal
Aw.
breaker.
Sure.
Well, and it probably happens easier for you too. Some people don't have.
No one said that.
Okay, well, anyway, thank you for dispelling some of those myths because some of them are like very confusing and there's so many out there and we now have a knowledge from a doctor.
We do. And if not, we have Lauren who thinks she's a doctor.
Or me, when you are gone, I will
Lauren.
step in
She
your
knows
place.
the words. She
I
knows
do know the words.
Yes.
I do know the words. Thank you so much for coming in, Dr. Perry. We're
Thank
so
you.
excited to have you here
Yeah,
finally.
thank
And
you.
It was super
tell
fun.
everyone where they can find you or if
Go
you have
to
anything
you as a patient
coming up
possibly?
next.
Well,
yeah.
I don't have private patients because I
Okay.
work for a hospital.
Yes.
But come and follow me on social media. I'm Dr. Perry, DOCTOR Perry, Pari. Google me, find me. I have a website, drcarey.com. You can find all my social media. And a lot of these answers are on there as well.
Great, because we couldn't get to them all.
No,
obviously.
and also Elite Daily, because you do write great articles
do.
there,
Yes, I do.
and they're
Amazing
fun
ones.
and relatable.
And also, don't forget to tune in next week for our guest DJ Tony Okamboa, and follow us on social medias at Complicated Show everywhere. We're here every Wednesday at 6 p.m. live, and then you can listen to us on iTunes and all of the other places. And Jen, where can they find you?
Guys, you can find me at Jennifer Golden on all the social media platforms. Feel free to stalk. It's all there.
Yes,
And Lauren, you?
Yeah, and you can find me at Lauren Leonelli on all of the social medias as well. And we will be here next week. So drinking.
We'll also be here for the next episode of Love at First Flight.
Yes.
If you tune in at 7, right after the show,
Yes.
we'll be there talking
right
more
here
love
at
and
AfterBuzz
relationships.
TV. Thank you again, Dr. Perry.
Thank you
and
guys.
Thank you
Super
so
fun.
much.
cheers.
Super
We'll be
fun.
here next week.
Love you a long time.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Pap smear. You don't.
The views expressed herein are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.